The Underachievers, Dave. You turned me on to these guys. We talked about them last year a little bit with their third album. They dropped their fourth one, After the Rain. Do you feel like they underachieved on this album?
Yes.
Hey,
Yes,
yeah.
I do. I was disappointed in After the Rain.
Mm-hmm.
On one hand, I thought they did made some interesting choices. I thought there's a few times where they farmed out sung hooks by somebody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I like that. I think most of the time, except for that first single. What's it called? A seven something. I didn't like that
Let me
song.
see
I
if I
thought
pull it up.
I thought that didn't work too well. But Seven Letters, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, like, UA has been around a long time. They are a duo from Flatbush, part of the Beast Coast movement, obviously, with Flatbush Zombies, Joey Badass, and Pro Air, artists we talk about whenever they drop, right? And
Mm-hmm.
UA has always been the least well known of that, that movement. And I've never really understood why that was, because on one hand, they're repping like that real New York rap, and they're also just making a lot of fucking hot songs. Like, they have hits on every project, and they make cool videos, and they're great live. They're the first show I saw when I moved to Boston, and it's just been weird to see them not really grow their fan base super large, as far as I can tell anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they released something like After the Rain, I was like, I wouldn't have blamed them if they leaned into, I wouldn't say lean into radio, but leaned into something more trendy to just try
Yeah,
to attract someone. There's no shame in that, especially when you've been
no.
making music a long time. I mean, Joey did that to good
Mm-hmm.
effect. And I mean, I think maybe getting people to sing hooks, make different kind of music. I mean, they made, quote, softer songs on this project. I think that was a
Yeah.
good idea. And the problem is that Issa and AK often have flows that sound very samey.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's almost like you listening to that song. It's like you just listen to the other song. They sound too similar. And I think
Right.
maybe part of that's into the production, like they've always been really into like ethereal, cloudy, third eye shit, right? And you can kind of like hear that in the production at times, even when it's not the subject matter.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was disappointed. On the other hand, like channeling and see through, I did think Issa talked about addiction pretty well
Mm-hmm.
on there. But yeah, I was unfortunately let down by this as a big fan.
Yeah, I've checked out a couple of their past songs, and I think I listened to parts of the album that we talked about last year, but I just didn't really find this very engaging. I've used the word engaging, I think, for two albums now, but to go from like Cupcake to like the Underachievers, I just found it so much more like laid back and. It kind of was like After a Rainstorm in a way. Like I know that's like a kind of a corny tie-in, but like after like a storm, there's like that period where things kind of just like settled and there's not much going on. That's kind of how this felt, was kind of listless. Their flows, like you said, were definitely very similar. And that kind of makes it not a super interesting album. So I think they have a lot of potential. You bring up a good point, which is something we don't always talk about is, artists are trying to make a living and they need to become popular and they're trying to reach certain levels of fame. So sometimes they need to switch things up to that might not be totally true to what they want to do or what they feel is best, what they think will actually be successful. And I think a lot of times, like we've given, especially like rock artists shit for like not trying more or staying, playing it safe. It almost feels like they went a little too safe with this, because like Gold Soul Theory is a song that really stands out as one of their past songs that it's very intriguing, very interesting. It's just totally unique, and that's what worked for them. So I'd like to see them kind of get back to it, but it's tough. They want to reach probably a different level of stardom. Like you said, you don't really understand why, and it's hard to calculate the next move sometimes. So Underachievers, I think I'll definitely give them another chance whenever that next album comes out, but
Sure. Yeah.
they have a ton of potential still.